Hello, folks. So, this is a bit nostalgic, huh? Me, this phone, you guys. I wanted to record this on my iPad, I really did, but, it's not picking up connection here, and my phone is, so, yeah, I guess this episode is really putting it all full circle, isn't it? Now, I'm not deactivating my channel, don't worry. It's just that I feel like this format is appropriate for what we're about to cover, because this format is really low quality, and so is the book we're covering. 50 Shades of Grey! Oh, fuck. What have I gotten myself into, you may be asking? How the fuck did my parents even allow me to buy this book? Because it has some spicy content. Well, fun fact, in my country, 50 Shades of Grey isn't really a thing. It's not very well known like it is in the US and the UK, so my parents didn't really know what the fuck it was and just knew I wanted to buy it. And by the time they found out what it was, because I told them, I was already more or less finished with the book. I should have stopped myself. I really should have, but now I regret everything. Now, I already know which book I'm gonna talk about next. It's gonna be Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, and I'm probably going to do the first 4 books of the series because honestly, after that, it kind of seems like it becomes a steaming pile of dog shit. I know that Aelin and Rowan eventually have sex on an island and she sets water on fire. I'm sorry. I don't think I have the strength to do that, especially after this book. So, I mean, you can even see the vein in my forehead popping out just thinking about this book. So, let's get into it. First, was this book a Twilight fanfiction? Yes, it was, and that's very readily apparent, because the first paragraph of this book is Anna trying to tame her hair. If that's not a fanfiction trope, I don't know what is. Now, this story was originally an AU fanfic, but I think it kind of fails in that. It's not even good as porn, because while I'm not a porn reader, because again, 16 and a girl, I am an avid smut reader, because again, 16, I mean, 15, 16, I'm gonna be 16 soon, so yeah, and because 16 and girl, so I've read some smut in my day. I've read some AU fics in my day. And I think that porn and fanfiction are a lot more similar than we think, because porn and fanfiction both exist to fulfill desires of the author. In the case of porn, that's sexual, and in case of fanfiction, that's wanting to see certain characters together, wanting to see characters in certain settings. And smut is kind of like fanfiction porn. See how it connects? But back to how this feels as an AU fanfic. Now, I've read a few AU fanfics. Wrote some. Currently trying to turn one into a novel. Yeah, I'm gonna discuss that at some point. But anyway, the important part of AU fanfics is that the world building kind of comes first before the character development, or before any sort of character exploration can take place. And the big reason for that is that's kind of why you write an AU fanfic. You want to see these characters in that setting. That's why fantasy AU fanfics of My Hero Academia exist. And they're mostly actually really good, I gotta say. From what little of them I read, they're really solid. But I'm not here to talk about that. But this, as an AU fic, kind of doesn't work, because certain things aren't changed. For, again, I'll give you my personal example, because I cannot remember titles of fanfictions for shit. I can remember summary, I can remember plot, but for some reason, titles just escape me unless I have them saved on my notes. And I do have some saved on my notes, but I cannot remember their names for for the life of me. So, to use my own example, in my parody of My Hero Academia, which I'm trying to turn into a fic, I have the entire Baku squad become a crew of pirates. And for example, I made Mina a witch. For example, I kept her obsession with shipping, I kept her cheery personality and stuff, but I changed how her and Eijiro kind of know each other, because it really wouldn't make sense for that backstory to stay in. And the way I have her manipulate acid is through her manipulating liquids, or something that seems like a liquid. So, yeah. Or at least that was originally the plan. Now it's really different. I don't think I even brought up her manipulating acid, like, once, which honestly is, I don't know whether it's a shame or whether it's a good thing, because it's gonna make the novel version more coherent. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that certain traits of characters can't really remain in your AU fanfic because they don't make sense. And while they might be important to the character, for example, you know, like, if you were writing an AU fanfic of, for example, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where the turtles are Kappa samurai brothers in feudal Japan, it wouldn't really make sense for them to have an obsession with pizza, but it would still make sense for Raphael to be jealous of Leonardo, if you catch my drift. Some things make sense, some things don't make sense. Cool. So, the thing that bothers me with 50 Shades is that that's not really the case, because it doesn't really make sense for Christian to be overprotective of Anna the same way Edward is of Bella, if, you know, she's not basically a paper butterfly in comparison to the person she's dating. Because, while I'm not about to excuse Edward, I am going to make him seem like a fucking saint by comparing him to Christian Grey and Harden Scott. We'll get to that, but I'm still discussing how this fails in a fanfic. For example, all of the Grey children are adopted, even though it's never stated that Grace is infertile or anything like that. Not saying that you don't want to get pregnant, that's completely reasonable. I mean, pregnancy seems like it sucks, so I understand why she would want to, but it's never stated, it's never said, and there's no other reason for her to adopt every single child and just not have one of her own. Hell, even in Jessie, like, the Rosses had Emma as their bio kid, and then they adopted because I'm guessing Christina went infertile or something. Anyway, the point is, this fails as an AU fanfic because it does not explore the setting. All this explores is, what if Edward Cullen was a BDSM dom? Which, honestly, you could still do with regular Twilight. I don't really see why you had to make them all human. Though, again, I guess any version of Edward that's not the biggest version who Bella can peg easily is just a disappointment. Which is an interpretation I really agree with because, well, have you met Edward? He's such a virgin. Anyway, now, on to our protagonists and the shitty tier list of crap. Yeah, that's what I'm naming this, because every single character on this list is crap. And I have to decide who's better. So, first, who's the shittier love interest? Let's go! Woo! So, on the bottom is Edward Cullen, because, well, Edward is a controlling, creepy stalker. At least he's not a sexual abuser and a rapist. That goes to Jacob. So, well, yeah, I'm not trying to excuse Edward's actions. He at least has reasons to behave the way he does, because Bella's human, he's a vampire, and emotionally unintelligent as fuck, because he's been a vampire for so long he can't comprehend human emotion. I mean, nobody ever calls him out on it, or nobody ever tries to tell him, like, hey, maybe you shouldn't stalk your girlfriend, but, you know, at least it's explained in the plot. At least there's some context for it. Number 2 is Harden Scott, and the only reason he's number 2 and not number 1, together with Christian Grey, is because, let me tell you, he's not physically abusive towards Tessa. I mean, he is, like, twice, but that's an accident. Like, he thinks she's someone else, which very common excuse, Hardin. I hate that I find that funny. Anyway, and number fucking 1 is Christian Grey, but we're not gonna discuss him yet. No. That's gonna wait for later. Put a pin in it. And now the shitty protagonist list. Number 3 is Bella, because Bella actually has some moments I enjoy. Yeah, you gotta know a book was low when Twilight is the least bad one. Now, Bella may complain and may make statements that wouldn't sound out of place on I'm 14, This Is Deep subreddit, but at the very least, she acknowledges that Edward is an asshole. She doesn't like him ruining her autonomy, and she isn't automatically brought by any sort of agreement by him trying to use his charms to get her to agree. So at least Bella, in the first Twilight book, isn't a complete fucking pushover. Unlike Tessa and Anna. Mostly Anna. So, Tessa is number 2, mostly for the fact she's wildly more misogynistic than Bella is, and for the fact she's a cheater. Because while Bella does like Jacob, she never outright cheats on Edward. Even when she kisses Jake, it's more like, to make him not kill himself. So, yeah. However, Tessa has a loving boyfriend who she cheats on because British boy hot, and not to mention, she also gets jealous of a lesbian that Hardin goes on a date with to make her jealous. She's so stupid. Anyway, and now Anastasia Steele, on number fucking 1. Because unlike Tessa, who's not racist and not xenophobic, just misogynistic and homophobic, Anna is all four. Yeah. Brace yourselves, folks. So, Anna, whenever she describes a black person, has to explicitly say this African American person. Because, again, skin color is all that matters. Imagine if I said, like, a Caucasian male walked in. I'd say weird, wouldn't I? I'm not sure if that's explicitly racist, but I do smell some white guilt in here, and it does not smell good. About her homophobia, every time Anna thinks about that gay question that she asks Christian, like, are you gay, Mr. Grey? Like, she gets embarrassed, like, oh my god, how could I assume that this pinnacle of masculinity is gay? Oh my god, I have to bury myself in a cave somewhere. Like, Anna, honey, you just thought you just asked if he was gay. You just made a mistake about his sexuality. It happens. Chill out. Except, of course, this doesn't make sense, except if, E.L. James thinks that being gay is the worst sin of all time, which apparently she does. Now, she does include a gay character. I mean, they're not relevant to anything happening. It couldn't be one of Christian's siblings or anything like that. No. It's a masseuse that Anna uses to make Christian jealous when she's going to Georgia. And Anna says, like, he's super gay. He's so gay. He's so flamboyant. Like, because every gay has to be sassy and flamboyant. Every gay has to be a femboy. Every lesbian has to be basically a man. Because that's how it works, right? Okay, moving on. So, on to Anna's misogyny. I think the pinnacle of it is when she's in Christian's office. And she sees a couple of blondes who, there exists in her presence. And she says, I hope she loses her job. I mean, she doesn't say that, but she does mock one of them for being jumpy, even though she's jumpy too. Which, like, wow, Anna. Way to be a bitch. I mean, yeah. Wow, E.L. James must really hate me. Huh. Because I'm European and blonde. She hates me, probably. I mean, I don't think she'll ever see this video because she's busy laying on her mountain of money and roasting sexual abuse survivors on Twitter. But if she does see this, she'll probably hate me. Not just for roasting her book, but because I'm European and blonde. Okay. Anyway, so about the xenophobic comment, I'm not kidding. Because the two women who flirt with Christian the most are European. Now, one of those women is a fucking pedophile who abused him when he was 15, and who the book actually portrays as a romantic rival for Anna instead of, an unredeemable monster who nobody should, who Anna shouldn't really be jealous of. She should be like, fuck you, you raped a 15-year-old, go to jail, you bitch. Instead, Anna gets jealous of her, and I'm like, Anna, priorities. Anyway, we'll get back to Christian's man pain later. And Gretchen, who's servant in the Grey House. I mean, they say maid, I say servant. Maybe I've been watching too much Twisted Wonderland game to resent this word servant. That's just in my head. Anyway, waitress. I don't know what Gretchen's job is. Anyway, she works for the Greys, and she's German. Apparently. I think so. I'm too lazy to pick up the book to remember, or too traumatized, but either way, she's European, and Anna hates her. And she calls her Aryan, too. So at least we know Anna's not a Nazi, which I guess is nice. So, now on to Christian Grey, and I'm not going to bring up the abuse yet, because we're yet to get into that. He is the most pretentious, temperamental, cold, controlling asshole that I have ever met. I mean, I haven't met him, but you get the point. So, Christian does this thing where he listens to operas in his free time, and him and Anna fuck to an aria, to, I think, an a cappella thing of, a medieval church song, and he says, I've always wanted to fuck to that, and I'm like, Christian, you don't fuck to that, because you know what you fuck to? You fuck to Bring Out the Worst in Me, you fuck to Fire on Fire, and you fuck to Play with Fire. You fuck to anything but that, because that's not a fuck thing. I'm sorry, I'm 16, well, soon to be 16, and even I know this. I've never had sex in my life, and even I know this. What's your excuse? Also, Christian is a douchebag. Yeah, a huge douchebag. Now, you may notice that I'm kind of struggling for words with Christian because outside of this relationship, he doesn't really have anything to him. I mean, neither does Anna. But, I can say infinitely more about her than I can about him. Oh, there is one thing about Christian that I can say before we get into the abuse. He has very long fingers, or at least, E.L. James describes them as such. So eventually, I just imagined him having, those blow toys at carnivals that do this? I just imagined he has those for fingers. It made the book infinitely funnier and easier to get through. So, now on to the abuse. So, one of the things that really bothers me with this book is the fact that Christian actually considers raping Anna. Now, you may be saying, well, he doesn't. I read this book and I know he doesn't. And to that I say, yes, you would be correct, dear viewer. He doesn't, but he thinks he is, which, let me explain. So basically, Anna sends him an email at one point saying about the sex contract, saying that she's had enough, it's been nice knowing him, all that, usual breakup jazz. And Christian comes over to her house, without her permission, may I add, and fucks her. To show her how nice it was knowing him. He thinks he's raping her, and he's completely fine with that. And Anna, after this, feels like a ball that he's just, takes stuff from and uses. Look, again, I haven't had sex yet, and I don't know what sex feels like, but I know that's not what it's supposed to feel like. And Christian's issues about consent don't end there. we're gonna discuss the sex contract because I haven't done research on BDSM, but from my limited knowledge about it, this is very bad. But what I'm referring to is Christian's hypocrisy. Now, I'm not saying that men can't be survivors of domestic abuse. This whole recent Johnny Depp situation has shown us that yes, they can, and we should have known that from the start. And I'm not saying that Christian's in the wrong for not wanting Anna to touch his chest, because a lot of survivors of domestic abuse do tend to be very sensitive about being touched at all, or in certain areas. It can trigger PTSD. So I'm not criticizing Christian for not wanting Anna to touch him there. And it's completely reasonable that you're just more comfortable with some other people touching you there than you are with a certain romantic partner. And you can absolutely get over that. I'm not saying that Christian getting over her touching him on the chest in Darker is unrealistic. Because believe me, if it was, I would criticize the fuck out of it. But again, Christian's not unreasonable there. And Anna tries her best to respect him. But my problem with Christian here is that he's a hypocrite. When Anna says, I don't want to be caned, he says, we'll work up to it. You do not fucking work up to it. Just because her request doesn't come with a tragic as fuck backstory, it doesn't mean you shouldn't respect the fact she does not want to be caned. And when Anna says, what if I say no? Christian says, well, you say no, and I'll just have to find a way to convince you. That's not how fucking consent works, you jackass. The way it works is your partner says no, and you say, alright, I'm not gonna make you do that. Now, Anna does eternally bitch about Christian's trauma and how it makes it so hard for her, which honestly horrible and victim blaming much, but so at least she attempts. At least she attempts to respect those boundaries. Christian doesn't even fucking try. And also this whole thing about Anna eating really bothers me. Now, it's bothered everyone in this fucking book because Anna should decide when she wants to eat or not. It's not that she's anorexic, Christian. She looks fine. Relax. Now, mind you, Anna could be anorexic in the book. Jenny Trout actually did interpret it as such, and honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. But since when I'm reading the book, I'm imagining Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson. Dakota Johnson's not anorexic, so to me, it just kind of seems like Christian's overreacting. Then again, I think that for everything in this book. So, that bothers me because my parents, don't do that with me. Now, you might be thinking that me comparing Christian Grey to my parents and comparing myself to Anastasia Steele in this scenario is weird, but we'll get to that. They never force me to eat more than I can. They never force me to even eat if I don't want to. That's just respecting somebody's choices in their own body. Like, again, if Anna was anorexic, then okay, I kind of get it. But she's not, and she's an adult. She can do what she wants, Christian. Okay? So just shut up. Now, again, as I said, we'll swing back to the comparison I made with my parents and Christian. Because this book is fucking pedophilic as shit. Now, let me explain to you what I mean by that. Because anytime Anna does anything sexual, again, this is an excellent point by Jenny Trout, and I probably wouldn't have noticed it if I didn't have her recap in mind while reading the book. She's an excellent, blogger. You should check her out. But, so, Christian infantilizes Anna a lot, calls her good girl, which is honestly something I hate. I know it's a part of BDSM play, but I just hate it so much. And he says, you look so much younger with these, like, referring to her double braided style. And Anna's like, if I look like a kid, it'll protect me from Bluebeard. I'm like, Anna, you do realize what metaphor you're using. He killed his wives. That's not a good thing. And also when Christian sleeps, Anna first, like, he looks beautiful, like a child. And I'm like, oh, so you're both pedophiles, alright. And one other thing that really bothered me about Christian is his chin grabbing. Now, I do like chin grabbing as much as the next girl because Fuck, well, hell, I even plan on adding it in my Jamil and Kaleem fanfiction in a fight scene just to make it hotter, but this is too much. I'm like, usually it would be like, ooh, hot possessiveness, cool, but now I'm like, she's not a child for you to scold, you asshat. So, yeah, this made me sick of chin grabbing, and now I don't even know if I'm gonna include it. Do you see what this book did to me? And finally, let's address the sex and the BDSM, because, ooh boy, do I have shit to say. Now, first off, we discussed the consent issue, but the biggest problem with this whole story is that there's no respect of boundaries. It doesn't make sense, any of it. Now, the sex is subjective, obviously. I mean, at least sex in books is subjective. Personally, I enjoy more abstract sex scenes and fade to black sex scenes like in Crown of Midnight. But here, every detail, every single one. There's even a bit where Christian sniffs Anna's pubic hair, which was really gross to me. I'm not sure if it's unhygienic, but if it is, it feels very unhygienic anyway. And Anna using his toothbrush is also gross, but that's a minor nitpick. And they fucked on a table, and it wasn't even fun. Now, in my smut fix, I prefer kissing on the jaw, all good. Kissing on the shoulders, great. Kissing a person's wrist, amazing. Kissing a person's collarbone, hot as fuck. Kissing the neck, always good. But nipple play and eating out isn't exactly my forte, so maybe that's why I didn't enjoy the sex scenes. But I don't know, the sex scenes just felt very, very uncomfortable because you know that Christian's gonna pull some stupid abusive bullshit later on down the line. And Anna is constantly scared of him, so you can't even enjoy the sex because you know that immediately, almost immediately, they're gonna get into an argument and Christian is ultimately gonna fuck Anna to win said argument. This is also another thing that I'm gonna lump in here because Anna and Christian feel like they need to jump each other's bones every time. There's always this tension between them, and it's just so damn awkward because you're just wondering, are they gonna fuck in front of Anna's mom when they're in the hotel? Are they gonna fuck in front of the gynecologist? Are they gonna fuck in front of Kate and Elliot when they're saying goodbye? You just don't know, and you feel really bad and anxious. It's just not a fun time. And finally, let's discuss the BDSM. Now, again, I'm not a practitioner of BDSM. I haven't researched much, but thanks to, again, Jenny Trout's blog and Dominic Noble's incredible sacrifice of his time for this series and Folding Ideas' incredible video series on this subject, I have become pretty well acquainted with BDSM, or at least what the point of it is. Now, again, Dominic Noble pointed out on his video that Anna's not as submissive, she's not into it, so doing this with her is a really bad idea, and I'm just here thinking, Christian, why didn't you go to a website for this sort of shit? Just find a submissive there. I'm pretty sure there's someone who's into that's available, Jesus. But, you know, and this contract. Ooh, boy, this contract. Ooh, that's a biggie. So one thing that really bothered me in it is that Anna can't even masturbate in her own time. Now, again, the big part of BDSM is that it happens in the bedroom most of the time. You can't exactly tell a person to sit, to lay down, to touch themselves in public. Now, can you? Again, though, with Anna and Christian, you never know. But the point is that Christian and Anna are not a good BDSM couple because she is not a masochist. And he is a sadist. She is not a masochist. And Christian, their first time, doesn't make her pleasure him. He pleasures her. And I'm like, you know what would have been a good time to explore your boundaries? Like, not having sex, just because she's a virgin doesn't mean she can't be into this. Like, test out some shit. And if she's not into pain at all, you can just do the control thing, because it is a lot about Christian being in control. So maybe just do the control thing with her touching herself in certain ways. I don't know. Like, at least try to consult with her beforehand. So, yeah, that was my video on 50 Shades of Grey, and holy shit, I've been ranting about this book for half an hour. Well, at least it was more or less organized. So, next time, join me for either a Twisted Wonderland timeline video, because goddamn, anything is more enjoyable than reading these shitty books, or, you'll be seeing a Throne of Glass review. Now, I will try to do this more structured thing, and that's because I've been thinking about this video for a very long time. So, hopefully, my Throne of Glass review is just as structured as this video was. Even more. Maybe I'll do a script. Wouldn't that be something? Anyway, see you guys. Bye!